Hello and welcome to the Ramon Foster Show, starring, by no coincidence, Ramon. He's down there in Hendersonville, Tennessee. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports here in downtown Pittsburgh. And, Ramon, what is that?
You know what? It's almost 80 degrees here in Tennessee sometimes. So I might as well throw on some sunglasses since the weather's acting up like this, right?
You know what? I might as well come down to see you over the weekend. Oh, wait. In fact, I am. The Penguins are playing the Predators in right there on Broadway in Nashville early next week. We'll be heading down Sunday night. Looking forward to it. Hopefully we can hook up. We'll do one of these things like, in person,
Somewhere, somehow.
Somehow we'll figure it out. I had something I wanted to run past you, and I've never asked you about this before.
Oh, well, my primary job was to block you, DK. So are you allowing? You see my analogy of the run pass?
Very good. Yeah.
That was an old dad joke right there.
Something about the day job. Yeah. Those goofy Great Gazoo helmets that were worn through practices at parts of the year, all through the preseason training camp. They apparently had an effect in the sense that concussions were down 52% over the previous 3-year average. That is not nothing. No. There's a lot going on there. And the first thing that I wanted to ask you is to what extent your head was making impact on a consistent basis in those settings. Like, is it just not a big deal? Is it all so controlled?
I think great question, first and foremost, DK. I think more attention should have been brought to practice settings as opposed to game settings. In practice, you get guys overly trying to prove themselves because that's where you work your way up. You have coaches that want to see certain things where tight ends versus D ends every day after practice is a thing. And I'm not blaming the process. I'm blaming the advancement in technology, meaning helmets, shoulder pads, shoes, cleats, and stuff like that when it comes down to doing the job. The day-to-day banging of football practices is not talked about enough. We speak about the game because that's what the fans see, right? But those pops in practice the entire times in which you got to go hard. That's one thing when guys get an opportunity to get a day off. One, you feel bad about having that day off, DK, because why? That's the day you feel like you're missing on getting better and somebody's going to take your job. Right. The other portion of it is you don't want to take days off because it's the idea that you're going to get better and you got to make sure you're getting those things, those practices in. That's more bothersome to guys, man. And the emphasis on your day-to-day is way higher than anything you're going to see in the game. The only difference in the game is you get an opportunity to go full speed. You get an opportunity to cut, tackle, hit people, and bring them to the ground. Like I know, camp is hell, man. Let's just be completely honest about that.
I think one thing I want to make sure we're drawing a clear line here. When people think of practices, I think they think of the midweek practices on the south side in which there's not a lot of there's a fair amount of walkthrough and so forth. In Latrobe, it's different.
It is.
Because people are battling for jobs. They're battling for livelihoods.
Yes.
And they can do it at your expense.
Like, I had this conversation, and I've had this numerous times happen. People wonder why you get upset with guys going, air quotation marks, too hard in practice. Well, that's because, one, it doesn't equate to the game. And practice is most of the time measured by what you should be doing in the game. So I don't need game reps. I need game speed. I don't need game reps. And to your point about why you put those bubbles on your head now, it's necessary because that impact happens. Let's go. What are practices during the week? In camp, they're over 2 hours. Well, they can be right at 2 hours.
Yes.
And in those 2 hours, certain positions don't get a play off. In those 2 hours, meaning O-line versus D-line, you're usually going to be hitting somebody or banging up against somebody. I'll be up front and tell you, that's one of the main things I got on BJ Finney about when he was my practice partner. I'm like, BJ, stop leading with your daggone helmet. I don't need the head trauma in practice. Stop. And he had this natural bull ram type of method in which he had approached the plays. I look at even the wide receiver versus DBs. when they got to go one-on-ones, DK, they look like two rams in the wild. Am I lying?
Oh, no.
They're 2 yards apart, maybe. And the
Mm-hmm.
first thing that make contact, even though they're sinking their hips, is the head going back. So those bubbles, or those black bubbles on their helmet, was necessary to continue the health of some of these guys. That extends the careers of some of these players too. And that's what that extra safety, although they look like oversized space helmets, I appreciate it, man. I really do, DK.
Yeah. I have you ever had the opportunity to either touch one of those things, or because it came after you?
I did not. I didn't have that opportunity. I think some teams were doing it, and I know for a fact colleges were doing it too. And some guys like, well, of course it's a little heavy. Nah, screw that, man. That's going to lend to you having maybe those practices with those bubble helmets on leads to one more extra year in the league, or leads to not having that type of trauma applied to your head like that. And I'll say this too: the helmet companies have gotten a whole lot better in their technology too. I, upstairs in my man cave, have a helmet that was specifically designed for my head, my shape, the mold of mine, and it has my autograph in it. We didn't get there early on. You just distributed a helmet that you thought fit you. No, mine is custom made for my head. And I thought that was by far one of the coolest things ever.
Wait. By the team?
By the team. And that ain't cheap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I hadn't known about that. That's interesting.
No.
So, because if you think about what the nature of concussions is, it's the brain moving. That's what you hear from everybody. Okay, you don't want the brain to move around in there. Okay,
no.
It's not bruising. It's not punching. It's brain moving,
like Jello.
The tighter that your helmet is, theoretically, everything just kind of stays a little bit more stable. How many different helmets did you have over 11 years?
Over 11 years, 1, 2, and then my custom 3. My custom made one was my last one for I had about 4 years.
Did you have a practice versus a game helmet?
No, they were all the same.
Okay.
They one wasn't different from the other because they're supposed to be able to sustain that contact through the way it made. But I like in mine, I had like a frontal cushion that gave away to the the impact and everything that came along with it too. And it also is not just that; it's having a strong neck. You see my shoulders right now way smaller than they have been in years past because like I'm not working my neck. That's a huge crucial part of trying to stop concussions too, is those
neck support
muscles.
Yeah, because again, you're minimizing movement.
Yes.
And if you have the tree trunk neck, okay, you still kind of do.
Yeah.
the thing isn't gonna, your head is gonna have more support, more stability to it. Yes. Would you be in favor of seeing these silly things? I'm talking silly in terms of appearance. 100%. In games? In
games.
Oh, look at you. I knew you were going to do that. That's so shallow and so superficial. You're worried about how they look. I just wanted to do this whole segment just to reach this point because that's what you guys are. You're like, oh, yeah, safety this, safety that. And the moment it comes to not looking cool, we're out.
But what did we say? We play the game for free. It's the practices that we got to get through, DK. So, yeah, the game is for free. You look at you boxing me in the corner.
The whole segment was a trap so that Ramon could tell you at the end, oh, wait a second, not on Sundays. Not on Sundays. We got to look good. When we come back on the Ramon Foster Show, the shamefully exposed Ramon Foster Show, we're going to be talking about the Steelers' new inside linebackers coach.
And welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show. Yes, this is me bringing you back this time. Since I got walked in the corner, I actually sent DK to a corner. Like, nobody puts Moan in a corner, okay? But no.
I'm wearing the cone of shame.
Shame. Well, I had my youngest go bring me my helmet up. This is actually the next to last helmet that I have. Also, people that always got jokes on the Steelers, DK, and I know you can give a little history to this too. There's only one emblem on this helmet. I didn't take one off, trade it with anybody. It's this side. The right side has the emblem. The left side, not so much. And this right here, for the time, I got this probably the latter part, this style of helmet, the latter part of my college years and some of my NFL career too. This one I think was the Rydell Evolution or Revolution. The inside has a bubble. Like every player got one that looked exactly like this. That's the one that I had. This is super heavy. There's also air bubbles where you can pump it up on the inside. So they try to, as you said, DK, cushion it as much as they possibly could. There's an air hole right there. And that's also the helmet from the Super Bowl also. The sticker is still on there.
And for anybody who's wondering, the reason that there is a logo only on one side of the helmet, and this goes way back to the 1930s and the advent of the team, was that the team wasn't really sure whether they wanted the logo and how it would look on an old gold helmet. So the equipment manager, Jack Hart, was told to just put it on one side. Just put it on the right side and don't go any further than that. That goes back a long way. It was a decision that was actually made by that equipment manager, Jack Hart.
Yes.
Crazy,
yes,
right?
Was.
And
Crazy.
It holds to this day. And if you go to NFL, like stadiums or properties, any sort of licensing or whatever, and this is done respectfully by other teams in the National Football League, when you see literature that'll say Steelers versus Ravens, and you'll see the helmets facing each other, if the Steelers helmet is facing the direction you just showed there, the other way, there's no logo.
Yeah.
Like every team, all of the other 31 NFL teams will acknowledge that.
Yeah. I hate it for guys that played before me too, DK, because I'm looking at the construction of this, right? And of course, there's padding. This is a hard plastic, the black part, but this face mask is made of metal, wrapped in hard plastic also. So when you see guys say, I broke a helmet, like to really contextualize how hard guys run into one another, like it really brings it to perspective on what is actually going on those football fields.
Wow. Say that again. It was metal wrapped in plastic?
This is a hard metal, the face mask side of it, wrapped in hard plastic. Like there are chips in this from where I've gone toe-to-toe with some people and stuff like that. But yeah, and also another pro tip when it comes to the Steelers, the numbers on the front only happen when, DK?
Oh, I don't know that.
In camp, nobody has numbers on the front of their helmets.
Oh,
after you make the
games.
Team, you get the helmet. You get the numbers
on the front. How did I not know that after
you didn't
a
know
lifetime
that
of covering the team? No,
nobody.
That's really cool.
Nobody in camp has numbers on the front. You get your numbers when you make the team.
Huh? That's neat. I wonder if that's unique to Pittsburgh.
I know that's all we've ever done.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's really, really interesting. We were going to talk about the new inside linebackers coach. We can give him a couple minutes, Mo. There's nothing wrong with that. Aaron Curry was hired. He comes to Pittsburgh from the Seahawks. He was there for 4 seasons as an assistant defensive ends coach. He comes here to do inside linebackers. And as soon as you heard his name today, you had the same reaction almost everyone else did, right?
Yeah, I did. I was like, is that the guy from my job? I was thinking that, yeah.
It is.
Yeah. But you know what? A guy like himself, he's labeled, if you hadn't known, didn't know, and I'm sure he don't care about it himself because back in the old CBA, if you went 5th overall, DK, what made the vets mad? The amount of money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, he made cash. He was looking back here through this press release. He was taken by the Seahawks, first round, 2009, 4th overall. He ended up playing in only 35 games with the Seahawks, 13 with the Raiders. And that was that. It didn't work out for him. He was a stud at Wake Forest. And then not at all in the National Football League. But you know what, Moan? You can even tell from checking out his social media and everything that he's got this real spirit to him, this real life to him. He's extremely excited about this opportunity. Actually, he kind of announced it himself over the weekend, preempting the Steelers.
Yeah.
And if you look at who coaches are, the more successful coaches, who are they?
Former players.
Former players who?
But who didn't play a whole lot, DK?
That's it.
So
who didn't make it where they wanted to, including Mike Tomlin.
That's what I was going to say, including him. This is what I take from this guy, not knowing him personally at all. We're actually the same recruiting class and draft class too. When we came out, I remember him at Wake Forest. By the way, Wake Forest is a very high educational institution. So that says a lot about him being a cerebral type of guy, but it also says a lot about his career in order for him to get back into coaching too, DK. Like guys like him or guys who are overly passionate about it that work their ways up the same way that he did, they understand, and they don't want guys to do the same things or make the same mistakes that they did. You also get a younger guy. If we're the same age, he's 37, maybe 38 at the oldest, man. You get a guy that can relate to what the athlete is these days, but you also get a guy that understands he had all the potential in the world and did not maximize it. So it's his now opportunity, the same as Coach Tomlin does, to give back or teach up this group of linebackers in the way that's probably more modern to what the Steelers need, honestly, DK.
I have a feeling he's going to be coaching a group of inside linebackers who weren't in Pittsburgh for the most part. I mean, unless if they can keep Spillane, which they probably will, you know how much they love him.
Yeah.
Miles Jack is owed a ton of money. Maybe there's something that they can work out there and keep Jack. But Devin Bush won't be back.
It's going to be tough to make that argument, man. Although, of course, you say at worst he'll get a 1-year deal from the Steelers if nothing else knocks for him. But yeah, that's the point right there.
Yeah.
To me, when you hire a young guy like Aaron Curry, I look at him and kind of say to myself, what you hope is this. You get a brilliant mind on the defensive side of the ball that know how to coach guys up. The same way, DK, as you got out of a D'Amico Ryans, who's now head coach with the Houston Texans, right? That's what I'm looking for out of this group. But not just that. Hopefully he understands being in Seattle with their all-pro linebacker too that they've had for years, DK, and he's now with the Rams, not Baldwin, goodness gracious. I'll give you a name here in a second, DK. But the way I look at it is I kind of say to myself, you got to be able to coach guys up at a very, very high rate when it comes down to today's NFL. And not just that, but the way they go about their business too. And he's close enough age-wise where he should be able to relate to those guys. Seattle's all-pro linebacker I was speaking of was Bobby Wagner when he was there.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I should have jumped in with that one myself.
All good.
I just see this as an opportunity for the Steelers to hit a great big reset button at the position at which they are the weakest.
And this too, DK, at a position that commands all the respect historically inside of that building. That's why Aaron Curry was so excited, I'm sure, to be coaching that group, DK.
Oh, I'm sure he's thinking of Jack Lambert. You know, actually, if they can find Jack Lambert, I'd take him for the 2023 season. When we come back, the only segment that matters.
That's Hey Mom.
Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show and the only segment that matters, and that's brought to you always by the Get Go Cafe and Market, where 3 expert chefs fine-tune every sub, burger, salad, wrap, drink, and app so that it's crafted for what they call craveability. Order your favorite at Get Go Cafe and Market today. Better believe it. Today's entry comes from Matt Powell, and he says, in reference to yesterday's show, "Hey, Moan! I'm a middle child, too. I'm the person who's trying to tell jokes in awkward situations and make everyone happy."
Yeah.
I'm not a middle. I have a younger brother, and that was the end of that story. But that's something I guess you can relate to, right, from your reaction.
Yep, 100%, man. It's unique in how those breakdowns. If you hadn't looked it up, DK, if you ever have any spare time, man, look at the dynamics of parents' children. From first child to super responsible, usually more quiet, buttoned up. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. To the second child, to the third, to the fourth, man. It really lines up so much. And I actually had to look at it for understanding of myself. Like, why am I this way sometimes? Like my over eagerness to make people be in good spirits. Well, that's because when you're behind the oldest, even if you're close in age, like you still have that longing of what's my acceptance. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody deals with something like that. And it naturally, most second kids that I know are like that, DK. And there's no knock on anybody. It's just how the household kind of allows itself. Was your brother like that at
Yes.
all?
Yeah, and I can't stand it to this day. He was always the angel, always the good guy, always trying to make the peace. And I'm like, hang on. I'm not seeking peace in this particular situation. Okay, yeah. and it happens to this day. And I'm like, no, man, just let me be the thing that I am. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't always have to get along. It's but yeah, it's a very different dynamic. I'm wondering how that played out for you in terms of sports and competition and so forth.
You read my mind. Look, you're not my older brother, man, okay? Because I'd be second to you. But to me, that's great because I was going there before you even said that, DK. But in terms of sports, everything that my older brother did, I wanted to do, and I wanted to do it better. That was like the underlying competitiveness of it too. It's like, oh, he did it? Well, I guess I get a chance to do it, and I'm going to do it this way. But it's also, I fought playing football for a while too, just so you know. I wanted to be the next basketball player. I wanted to be the next Shaq because my brother was playing football at the time before I was in high school, and I was like, so what? He doing his thing, I'm going to do mine. And I was I'm talking about centered on basketball. It didn't make any sense. Like at all the AAU tournaments, everything, because I wanted my thing until I realized, look, okay, we both can kind of do this and you go do your thing and I'll do mine. But even still, DK, I would be in positions, man, in that competitive. I just had this conversation with my boys about like, it's okay to have competitive competition within family or teammates and stuff, as long as it's healthy.
Yes.
You know? And that's where I was. He would be faster than me. Speed has never been my thing. So you know what I did? I'm gonna lift the house. I'm dead lifting, squatting, benching, everything. Like he was fast, I was always strong, and it kind of held all the way through our careers too. And then whenever he left, I won't front, a portion of me was like, yes, it's my high school now. I'm big man. Okay, again. Healthy competitions are good for all people. I didn't diss him or knock him because of the things that he did. Heck, he was the first one in our school in over like 20 years to get a Division I scholarship. Soon as he got his, DK, I'm rubbing my hands. I can't wait to get mine. You know, and then it wasn't the fact that he went to Louisville and they won a whole lot of games. But my mindset was, I want to go to the SEC. You see what I'm saying?
I do. I also know that earlier in the recording of this particular program that a certain young man named Miles, who came up and brought you that helmet, looked like he had a significant case of podcast envy. You didn't even see this. I saw him behind you. He was closing the door like this and trying to see behind the magic curtain what's going on in there. Like this. It was tremendous.
That's my boy, man.
You should have him co-host one of these days. Kick me out. It'd be awesome. You
know what? He actually would, because we have in-depth conversations, even as young as he is at 10. Mm-hmm. And my oldest too, man. I've learned, just because they're raised in the same household by the same parents in the same environment, guess what, DK? The same as your son and daughter. They will not be the same or act the same.
Oh, no.
I was wrong.
No, that is most definitely the case. All you do is you show them a safe way to approach this, that, whatever, and be the guide, be the helping hand, but otherwise, get out of the way.
Yeah. Hey, the idiot here is learning that one. Okay.
Let's do it again tomorrow, Mo.
No doubt.